Good morning. I'm Dwight Keene, Chair of the Kansas Corporation Commission. I'm joined this morning by Commissioners Susan Duffy and Andrew French. At this time, I will call to order this meeting of the Kansas Corporation Commission on this Thursday, August 4th, 2022. Commissioners, before us this morning, first up are 14 consent agenda items. We've had the opportunity to review the drafts of the orders in each of these matters, so I would turn to each of you and ask if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. I'll begin with Commissioner Duffy.
Good morning, everyone. I have no questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner French.
No questions. I move approval of the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
Then moved and seconded, we approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. We have 5 notice items this morning, the first of which is docket number 22-ATMG-039-CCS. This is in the matter of the application of Atmos Energy Corporation for authority to cease transacting business as a natural gas public utility in a portion of Leavenworth County, Kansas. And before us this morning is an order on the joint motion to approve the settlement agreement. Our presenter this morning is Assistant General Counsel David Cohen. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Commissioners. On July 16th, 2021, Atmos Energy filed an application seeking permission to cease service as a natural gas utility in a portion of Leavenworth County. Atmos wished to discontinue service to 3 residential customers and 1 commercial customer because it was not economical to repair and replace the lines that served them. Atmos offered to pay those customers the cost to convert from natural gas to propane. The customers opposed Atmos's request. On April 5th, 2022, the parties negotiated a settlement under which Atmos would continue service and the customers would pay some of the cost of replacing the line. On May 11th, staff filed a report and recommendation which generally approved of the settlement, but had some modifications as to how much of the line needed to be repaired. This order approves the settlement, subject to staff's modification. None of the parties had any issue with staff's modification, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you for the overview, David. Let's turn to commissioners and see if we have any questions, comments, or concerns. And I'll begin again with Commissioner Duffy.
I have no questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner French.
No questions. Thank you for that presentation, David. I move approval of the order.
I second the motion.
Then moved and seconded, we approve the order in this docket. Is there any further discussion? Hearing now, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. The order is approved. Next notice item is docket number 22-EKCE-195-SHO. This is in the matter of Evergy Kansas Central to show cause why it should not inspect all of its 34.5 kV double circuit lines. We have before us this morning an order on staff's report and recommendation. And once again, our presenter is Assistant General Counsel David Cohen. David.
Commissioners, before you is an order which adopts staff's report and recommendation in this docket. This docket concerns Evergy Kansas Central's show cause order. A little history, last year when investigating a complaint against Evergy Kansas Metro, staff discovered that many of Evergy Metro's power poles had issues related to safety. Staff had recommended that both Evergy Kansas Metro and Evergy Kansas Central be ordered to inspect all their 34.5 kV double circuit transmission lines. While Evergy Metro agreed to inspect, they also argued that Evergy Central should not be ordered to inspect because they were a separate legal entity and were not the subject of the complaint or staff's investigation. In that docket, the commission agreed, but noted that there were significant similarities between the 2 Evergys and opened this docket so Evergy Central could demonstrate the effectiveness of its pole inspection procedure. On March 28th, 2022, staff filed a report and recommendation which recommended that Evergy should not, Evergy Central, should not be ordered to conduct a separate inspection of its 34.5 kV lines. Rather, it found that Evergy should use its existing and current vegetation management surveys to conduct inspections and document the findings as required by the National Electric Safety Code, Section 214, which was adopted by reference under KAR 8212-2. Evergy did not file a response to staff's report and recommendation. This order directs Evergy to compile and document the results of its visual pole inspection conducted by its vegetation management crews and submit them as a compliance reporting requirement in docket 19 KCPE 178 CPL, which already tracks data related to poles. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you for that really pretty good and extensive overview, David. Let's see if there are any questions. I'll turn this time first to Commissioner French.
I have no questions. Thank you for the background, David. I think that's really helpful to understand, as you said, the two Evergys and the fact that, you know, they do have a lot of commonalities now, but they are coming from being very separate utilities and are still in the process of harmonizing their operations. I think this is an appropriate outcome. So I have no questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Duffy.
I also believe it's an appropriate outcome. I want to thank staff for their diligence in reviewing this matter. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And I firmly believe that attention to the 34.5 kV lines, it's extremely important in terms of the boots on the ground, resilience and reliability of the system. And so I believe that what we have here is a good compromise to get us to that point to ensure that these lines are being reviewed, and further, that staff is afforded the opportunity to look at the data that is submitted and share it with us. So again, I think it's a good outcome. I think it took far too long, but here we are. So with that, I make my motion to approve this order.
I'll second the motion.
Been moved to second, we approve the order in this docket. Is there any further discussion? Well, I'll add my 2 cents worth in and I'll be very succinct. I subscribe to the observations and comments of both of my fellow commissioners. I also commend the staff for its work in this effort as well. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. The order is approved. Thank you very much, David, for those presentations. Next noticed item is docket number 23-TRAM-071-PEN. This is in the matter of the investigation of Adam R. Garcia, DBA ARG carrier of Goodland, Kansas, regarding the violations of the motor carrier safety statutes, rules, and regulations, and the commission's authority to impose penalty sanctions and/or the revocation of motor carrier authority. Before us this morning is a penalty order, and our presenter is Hassan Latif. Good morning, Hassan.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. The penalty order before you arises out of a compliance review of Adam R. Garcia doing business as an ARG carrier, a common motor carrier that hauls grain, feed, and hay, as well as fertilizer, and operates out of Goodland, Kansas. This investigation was conducted from June 3rd to July 5th by special investigators Penny Fryback and Erica Pargas. During their investigation, the special investigators found several violations, and the order before you assesses penalties for 10 of those violations, resulting in $7,800 in penalties. I will summarize a few of the violations involved. They include a $1,000 penalty for failing to retain supporting documents for the loads hauled, and our special investigators found 102 violations of this type. A $750 fine for failing to obtain annual inspections on the commercial motor vehicles operated. A $3,000 fine for operating over the allowed gross weight limit of 85,000 pounds. Our special investigators found 20 violations of this type. And a $500 fine for allowing a driver without a CDL to operate a CDL class vehicle. The carrier also had several other violations that are noted in the penalty order. But staff recommends approval of the order before you, and I and staff are available to take any questions you have.
Thank you very much, Hassan, for that somewhat comprehensive overview. Let's turn to commissioners and see if we have any questions. I'll begin this time with Commissioner Duffy.
Thank you. I believe that the fines being assessed do fit the nature of the penalties. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner French.
I have no questions. Thank you, Hassan. I move approval of the order.
I second the motion.
Been moved and seconded, we approve the order in this docket. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. The order is approved. The next noticed item is docket number 23-TRAM-086-PEN. This is in the matter of the investigation of Jose Francisco Mota, DBA Mota Transport of Garden City, Kansas, regarding the violations of motor carrier safety statutes, rules, and regulations, and the commission's authority to impose penalty sanctions and/or the revocation of motor carrier authority. Before us this morning is a penalty order in this matter, and again, our presenter is Hassan Latif. Hassan, please.
Thank you. The second penalty order before you arises out of a compliance review of Jose Francisco Mota, doing business as Mota Transport. He's a common carrier that hauls grain, feed, and hay and operates out of Garden City, Kansas. This investigation was conducted from July 19th to July 22nd by special investigators Penny Fryback and Erica Parkas. During the investigation, special investigators found several violations, and the order before you assesses penalties for 2 of those violations, resulting in $5,000 in total penalties. The violations included a $2,000 fine for providing special investigators with fraudulent annual vehicle inspections and a $3,000 fine for operating over the allowed gross weight limit of 85,000 pounds. In this case, our special investigators again found 20 violations of this type. Staff recommends approval of this order, and I and staff are available again to take any questions you have.
Thanks again for the excellent overview. Let's see if there are any questions. I'll turn this time first to Commissioner French.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Duffy?
Again, I believe the dollar amount fits the severity of the crimes, especially as fraudulent. Inspections were documented, and I just don't understand that at all. With that, I move approval of the order as described.
Second the motion.
Moved and seconded, we approve the order in this docket. Is there any further discussion? I would just succinctly state that I concur completely with the observations made by Commissioner Duffy, and I would add also somewhat parenthetically, but I know that I do so with the unanimous feeling of my fellow commissioners. I want to commend our field staff once again. I think they do an excellent job. This is another example of the thoroughness and the professionalism with which they really approach this effort, and we're very grateful for their efforts. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I would call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. The order is approved. The final noticed item before us this morning is docket number 23-TRAM-088-PEN. This is in the matter of the investigation of Mark Transport LLC of Dodge City, Kansas, regarding the violations of the motor carrier safety statutes, rules, and regulations, and the commission's authority to impose penalties, sanctions, and/or the revocation of motor carrier authority. Before us this morning for our consideration is a penalty order. Once again, we'll turn to you, Hassan, for your presentation.
Thank you. The third penalty order before you arises out of compliance review of Mark Transport LLC, a common carrier that hauls grain, feed, and hay and operates out of Dodge City, Kansas. The investigation was conducted from June 28th to July 22nd by special investigators Erica Parkas and Penny Fryback. During their investigation, they found several violations, and the order before you assesses penalties for 3 of those violations, resulting in $4,750 in total penalties. Those penalties include a $3,000 fine for falsifying records of duty status, a $1,500 fine for operating over the allowed gross weight limit of 85,000 pounds. In this case, our special investigators found 11 violations of this type, and a $250 fine for failure to retain evidence of the inspector's qualifications to inspect the carrier's commercial motor vehicles. Staff recommends approval of this order, and I and staff are again available to take any questions you have.
Thank you once again for the overview, Hassan. Let's see if there are any questions. I'll turn first to Commissioner Duffy.
Thank you. I just reiterate my previous comments. Same here, falsifying records. I believe the financial penalty is warranted. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner French.
No questions. Thank you again, Hassan, for your overviews on all these dockets. With that, I move approval of the order described in this docket.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, we approve the order in this docket. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. The order is approved. Thank you so much, Hassan. We appreciate your work this morning.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, I'm going to move that the commission enter into executive session not to exceed 30 minutes to discuss attorney-client privileged matters pursuant to KSA 75-4319B2 for consultation with an attorney to obtain legal advice regarding FERC matters. I further move that the following be included in the meeting. Outside counsel Jason Gray, General Counsel Brian Fadutin, Utilities Director Jeff McClanahan, Assistant Litigation Counsel Carly Massington, and our SBP consultant Sherry Feist Albrecht. Is there a
Second.
second?
I'll
Thank you.
second that motion.
I appreciate it. Didn't need to talk over it. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. By my reckoning here, it's 9:17. We will return in 30 minutes, maybe at 9:18 at 9:48. We will now move into executive session.
You're on mute, Commissioner or Chair Keen.
Thank you very much. Leaving the breakout room turned out to be a little more problematic for me than I anticipated. But anyway, it is now 9:50 a.m. We have returned from our executive session. No action was taken during that session. Commissioners, by my reckoning, we've reached a conclusion of what those agenda items we were intending to take up this morning. Unless you have anything further to consider, I would at this point entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you all so much. Take care. See you.